Okay, this is the recipe for the creamy polenta with assorted mushrooms. You'll need your two-handed pot. We'll go ahead and add the olive oil. Turn up the heat to about medium. It's very important that you saute onions really well because it will definitely taste crunchy when you're not sauteing it well. And with the polenta, you want this creamy, smooth texture all around. And always check for the viscosity of the pan to see if it's hot enough. Once it's hot, you can always add the onions. I add a little salt because I like to season every step. Once the onions are a little translucent, we'll go ahead and add the garlic. And why we don't add garlic with the onions is because the onions will take a longer time to cook and the garlic will take a shorter amount of time to cook, which will cause the garlic to burn. So you want to make sure you cook the onions really well before you add the garlic. Now that the onions have been cooking for a little bit, we'll go ahead and add the garlic. Once the aromatics come about and the garlic is all sauteed as well, and you can tell that the onions are translucent, go ahead and add a little pepper. I'm going to add the stock. I'm going to turn up the heat as well to bring the stock to a boil. And then once the stock comes to a boil, we're going to go ahead and slowly stir in and whisk in the polenta. You can always pull the pot a little over to the side so that your hand doesn't get too hot. And then once it's all incorporated in, you can push the pot back to the center of the flame. And then you can turn down the heat a little, about medium heat, and you want to go ahead and let it simmer for 10 minutes, but stir regularly. This is kind of like when you made the chowder. The bottom can burn easily, so let's turn it down more. And we just want it to be a simmer. Try to be careful. Any of the popping, if it gets on you, actually hurts really bad because it like seals on your hand or your skin, so it will burn faster. So try not to turn it up so high so that it bubbles too much. So I'm adjusting the heat to try to get it down just a simmer. I think it's almost there. So you're going to let it cook for a good 30 to 40 minutes, but you want to stir it constantly. I'm going to go ahead and actually move it to the back burner so that I can saute my mushrooms. Now it's time for the prepping of the sauteed mushrooms for polenta. We have oyster mushrooms, and then we also have hen of the woods. They also call them maitake mushrooms. They're all grown hydroponically, so there's not too much dirt on them. The only thing that you might want to do is process it a little bit. Oyster mushrooms, like all these little ones, are good. The stems you can save, and we'll go ahead and create a giant compost bin of just mushroom stems. All you do with oyster mushrooms is just pick them up and go ahead and tear them, and they'll come apart really easily. And anything small enough you can leave. They come all different types too. So like these have a little bit more of a flat end, and then these have more of a curly end. It just depends on the varietal and like the season of it too. All mushrooms to me are really good, but these are really good because they have a very meaty texture to them, and they are called oyster mushrooms because they have like oyster taste to them, but a meaty version of like the oysters, not like the sea taste. Once you've processed it, you can put it back, and then let's process the maitake. All these leaves are good. These you just need to do like a light trim, and then don't do too much. They are just like the oyster mushrooms. You can tear them, but I would tear from the bottom up because the leaves are actually pretty fragile. These have a very meat flavor. And then we'll go ahead and saute the mushrooms. You want to put a little oil in the pan, and you'll have to do this in multiple batches. So you'll go ahead and turn up your heat. You're going to cook the sauteed mushrooms just like you did with your sauteed proteins. Wait till the pan's hot. You might want to wait till it's a little smoking. You're going to take your rubber spat and stir your polenta. Okay, now that the pan is smoking, we can go ahead and do our hen of the woods first. A little salt and a little pepper. And mushrooms are sponges, so they will soak up a lot of oil. You might have to add a little bit more. And you want to let them cook. And then once they start to crisp up on the bottom, we'll give it a toss, and then they should be pretty much ready to go. And so you want this, crispiness that's happening, this golden, the Maillard reaction that happens. So we can let it cook a little bit longer and try to make sure that most of it is nice and crispy, but yet chewy in the middle and have that nice sauteed texture. You can add a little thyme into it, so add some flavor. Add in a little butter, and then we'll do the next batch of oyster mushrooms. Okay, so at this point, once you give it a stir, you want to taste it to make sure that the polenta's cooked, because if it's not, it'll be hard and crunchy. We'll go ahead and add the cream. You want to get all of it as much as you can, so use your rubber spat. And you want to add the cheese as well, because you're going to stir all of it together. You should have like a thin mashed potato, like a potato puree kind of texture. But you keep stirring it until the lumps disappear. And some lumps will be from the onion, but most of it should disappear. Taste it again now that the cheese and cream are incorporated. Once you think it tastes good, then go ahead and get your serving bowl. You'll use a spoon and you'll serve it in a plate or a bowl. A shallow bowl is always nice. And then I like to just do a little divot. And you'll take your sauteed mushrooms and then go ahead and add it right in the middle.